meow, 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 meow. Meow 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 meow. Hey guys, it's KooperAmused and today we are doing a new video. Today's video is all about taking my top 7 characters from Game of Thrones and sorting them into their Hogwarts house. The characters are from season 7's finale, so whoever was live in the last episode of season 7, I'm choosing from that point at least. If you haven't seen Game of Thrones, what you doing? It's just my ideas on where the characters might be, and I think this might generate a bit of discussion or debate about where I've placed a few of them, because given that they're older, and in Hogwarts you're sort of when you're 11 years old, you haven't got much of a personality developed that well, because they're a lot older in Game of Thrones, you could see them as having multiple houses because of their personalities. So it's a little bit harder to try and put them into one house, but I've done the best that I can, and hopefully I give you enough proof as to why I think they should be there. But if you do have other ideas or suggestions about where they might belong, or other points that I might have been able to bring up for my characters' placements, just straight down in the comments for me, that'd be great. So first one is Arya Stark. Now overall I kind of give her the characteristic of determined or determination, just because of all the stuff that she goes through, and yet she has this one goal in mind and she's very focused on that. So in that essence, I put it in Gryffindor. She's very brave and determined in the face of adversity. So a situation where she was facing down Jeffrey Baratheon with a sword after he'd been picking on her and the baker boy. That's very brave, and she was very determined in that point to, you know, protect her friend and stand up for what's right. But that's when she's younger, so it's a lot easier to determine something like that. An example of that also would be when she's older, is when she's trying to get into the Two-Faced God's church temple thing, and she's very determined to be in there. She's very daring, she's got nerve, she's staying there despite how reckless it could be when she has no shelter, no other food, this is her only plan. Like, I question, why didn't she go, right, I'm gonna head back to Winterfell and hopefully, you know, someone there that is family or related to me will look after me. But Gryffindors are really defined as being quite reckless. She also has a temper which can kind of get her into trouble in certain situations as well. But Gryffindors are very courageous and have a strong sense of justice, and I believe that's what she has as well. Granted, a little bit of a worry here, because I thought maybe she's a bit Slytherin in that sense too, because it's a very ambitious goal and she's trying to seek revenge or be an avenger for her family's murders and stuff like that. So that kind of ambition tweaks a bit to the Slytherin side, but I feel like the recklessness and the courage that she has in all those events in her life put her in Gryffindor. Second person we're going to look at is Sansa Stark. Now this one is probably more based on her character now. So overall, I'd probably give her the characteristic of knowledge, and that would kind of align her more with Ravenclaw. Now I know this seems a bit weird because she could be very Slytherin in the way that she's acting and all that kind of stuff. She's learned a lot of the game for manipulation and stuff like that, but she doesn't employ it as much. She more uses the knowledge and her self-awareness of the situations and people's intents in those situations to make judgments on how things might turn out. She does kind of make it so that it's her benefit. It's not really like an abysmal outcome for the other people as well, except for Littlefinger. I hate that guy. Over the series, observation and knowledge have been key to her character and her development. Ravenclaws are also described as being creatively adaptive to the situation to ensure they get the max amount of knowledge, and that's what she's doing in her situations. So while, again, a bit of a Slytherin tint here, I'd probably put her more firmly in the Ravenclaw camp. I think that her decisions have got better and better as her characters move throughout the story, and she's learnt more from her past mistakes and other people's past mistakes, making her a bit more wise, which again kind of encapsulates the whole Ravenclaw thing. Of course, I couldn't go anywhere else without doing a Jon Snow. I think we can say he's pretty brave, and that is like his main characteristic, and so that puts him firmly in the Gryffindor, which is kind of great because it's good to see that both Arya and Jon Snow are in the same house together, given that they have such a close relationship, and you can see Arya kind of modeling some of her behaviors on how she saw Jon. Brave and courageous and reckless, very into the whole sense of justice thing as well, but again, he was still foolish, especially when he was Knight Commander, and that scene, y'all, I was so mad, and I was crying, and I was mad. But Jon's also really loyal and chivalrous. Again, Gryffindors are kind of like that as well. He's very respectful towards women. Ygritte, I can't say her name. And how he interacts with his sister, Arya the best. He's very respectful of how he treats Sansa. It's just very proper and very fair. He also is very quick to action as well, which again, if you're thinking about Harry, he's always quick to action, hasn't really thought it through. It's always Hermione coming up with the plans as they go along, and they're kind of just winging it. So I feel like Jon is he's gonna get straight in there. Hasn't really thought it through. Something could go bad, this could be a foolish action, but he's gonna go straight in there. Moving on, we have to look at one of the most popular characters in the entire series, Tyrion Lannister. Tyrion values knowledge. This puts him firmly in the Ravenclaw camp. While he does have some tendency to manipulate information, that wouldn't put him in the Slytherin camp. He's not overly bold, he's not reckless, he thinks through his series, cannot go into Gryffindor. He's loyal to himself and to his friends, and especially Daenerys now, but he understands the world better, and that sometimes fair isn't going to happen. You just have to make the best call with the information that you have, which is why he tries to get as much information as possible. He had to read and consume as much knowledge as possible. He had to be witty and smart and strategic and think things through. I especially love his very creative insults. And again, that also brings back the idea that he had to creatively adapt to his situation. While they didn't always work out in his favour, at least he was doing the best he could with the knowledge that he had available to him. That being said, I then of course had to do Daenerys Targaryen. Now with Daenerys, I was kind of bouncing between two, and I couldn't put my foot on which one I wanted to do. But essentially she could really fit into all of them, especially with her learning, consuming knowledge and languages. That'd be Ravenclaw, the loyalty she has to her house and to those that follow her, that would be Hufflepuff, and the brashness and her quickness to action in doing what's right, that'd be Gryffindor, and then her ambition to be the queen, to be the one that rules from the Iron Throne, Slytherin. She could fit into literally every single damn one of them. In the end though, I decided to go with Gryffindor, and I kind of gave her the overall characteristic as correct. She has a very strong moral code, and so freeing the slaves and abolishing slavery, and even staying in Marine to ensure that all the slave masters and all that were fully dealt with, and that it was properly structured before she even ventured to Westeros, meant that she cared more about what she'd done than getting to the throne, which kind of took away her one-track minded ambition to being the queen on the Iron Throne. It means that she's still able to make the decisions that will see the best for the area that she's currently in for those people as well. However, you have to take into a fact that, you know, she was quite okay with killing the slave masters off as well because they were not going to be changing their ways, and she could understand that. And that makes her courageous, because despite the fact that killing is wrong, she had to make the hard decision, a courageous decision, to terminate their existence and ensure the survival of thousands of others. She also kind of has a little bit of the recklessness. She rode a dragon in to save Jon. yeah, didn't quite end out the way that they wanted it to, but that was kind of reckless, and I definitely say she's learned from that experience. I'm not sure she'd be willing to make that kind of jump call, that quickness to action again, if it was going to risk her other dragon. So again, really hard to place, but I think Gryffindor kind of suits her best. Which again is kind of cool because John and then Arya, and they're all kind of like one big family. I had to do Cersei Lannister. Ambition, I think we can all agree, is her main characteristics, and this definitely puts her squarely inside the Slytherin camp. She does not set a good example for me and my house, because I am Slytherin, but I had to do her anyway. Well, that sounds odd. I think we can all say that she is very ambitious and determined to have power, and a lot of it has been denied to her because she is a woman. And so now achieving that by having the Iron Throne and having the crown is very, very important to her. She is not pure evil, I want to say that, because I just want to smack her in the head. But she's very manipulative and cunning. This of course makes her really resourceful, yet another main characteristic of Slytherin. She also likes wildfire, and that happens to be green as well. I'm just like, as if she's not in Slytherin. And that brings us to our final character that we are going to sort today, and it's probably an unusual one, but I feel like he's a very important character, and that is Samwell Tarly. This guy, such a kind soul, doesn't want to hurt anyone, wants the world to be fair and just, and has such a strong brotherly love and respect for John. It's just beautiful to watch their relationship. The loyalty he shows to John in the face of adversity, in the face of all the other people who doubted John and were not very encouraging towards him, he persists anyway because he knows John means well and is trying to do the right thing no matter how hard it is. He's passionate, which Hufflepuff are very clearly passionate people. He's passionate about doing the right thing over what is easy. You also can't dismiss the loyalty and respect he has for Gilly. You also can't talk about Hufflepuff without mentioning how hardworking they are. Although kind of a trait towards Ravenclaw, his acquisition of knowledge there, it's not purely because he wants to have the knowledge, it's more because he wants to be able to use that knowledge to someone else's benefit. And he's working hard towards that to support John. Hence the reason he travels down with Gilly to become a maester. So there we have it, guys. They are where I would place my top 7 characters from the end of season 7 of Game of Thrones. I highly recommend you check out the entire series. Game of Thrones is an incredible journey and story. The characters' developments, and combined with the fact that it has a solid fan base and an incredible story it actually comes from, it's something that you really should watch. Nudity and whatnot aside. So if you have any other ideas, any points you'd like to make, or other counter arguments to where I've placed the characters from Game of Thrones, please put them down in the comments below. Otherwise, that's it for the video today. I thank you so much for joining me, and I'm looking forward to continuing this as possibly a series on my channel. Taking games, movies, book characters and placing them into our Hogwarts house. If you have any suggestions for what you'd like me to try, please put them down in the comments below. And also, please like, share and subscribe if it takes your fancy. And until next time, you guys take care of yourself, and Cooper out. And we're gonna push down to get our worms.